So then guys, it's the final international break of the 24-25 season. Let's do my very last final Premier League table prediction. The sun is shining, I'm in a good mood. Guys, don't kill my mood. Let's have some positive comments today. It's just my prediction, it's just my opinion. You might disagree with my prediction, that's okay. Just let me know your prediction instead, rather than just commenting, you are wrong, you are the worst, you should be hung, drawn and quartered. With that said, let's go for some support. Let's go for 2,000 likes on this video. It takes 2 seconds to hit the thumbs up button. Be sure as well to subscribe. And yeah, we're on the march to 95,000. So go on, I will insist that you hit the subscribe button and help us get there. Like I say, these are just my predictions. Please don't be offended. And let's get on with them. So, as you can see next to me, we have got the Premier League table, 1 to 20. I'm also going to predict how many points these teams get come the end of the season. And let's start at the bottom. Yeah, it might not come as a massive surprise. I don't think there's much going on down here anymore. And if anything, I'm actually losing a little bit of interest, which isn't good. It's not healthy. I like the Premier League. I like the Premier League relegation battle, but this might be the worst one we've ever seen. Let's talk about the teams. And by the way, before anyone says anything, yes, Ipswich, Leicester and in particular Southampton haven't done great this season, but there is also another conversation to be had about the gulf between the Premier League and Championship, which just does seem to be growing each season, and I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year we're talking about the 3 that have come up from the Championship this year all down at the bottom again. Let's talk about the teams. Southampton. In good news, I've got Southampton to get past Derby County's horrible record of 11 points, being the fewest points accumulated by a Premier League team ever. I have Southampton to win 1 more game. They've got 9 games left. I don't think there's any Southampton fans out there who do actually think they will stay up. But can they pick off 1 more win? I will go for it, maybe. Yes, I expect them to lose most of their games, but can they get 1 more win? Yeah, let's say they do. Leicester City? Well, Leicester, look, with Leicester and Ipswich, I've thought for a little while they might have a chance of surviving because Wolves have been underperforming this season, but now that Wolves are pulling away, put together with the fact that Leicester and Ipswich have flatlined, I don't think Leicester and Ipswich stay up. However, looking at Leicester's final few games, they have got Southampton at home, they have got Ipswich at home, they've got a couple of okay fixtures where they might actually get 2 more wins, and that's what I'm going with. But do I see them getting out of the bottom 3? No. I won't repeat myself on the Steve Cooper thing. What I will say, because I did say at the time, I don't know if sacking Steve Cooper was the right decision. To those people that did want Steve Cooper to go, I know that they didn't want Ruud van Nistelrooy and this kind of form. I know that, but they just didn't get the right appointment, and it does look like they are going down. I do expect them to come straight back up next season, but then maybe go back down again, and then back up again, and then back down again. And maybe the same for Ipswich. Ipswich have given it a go, but their form has been really poor in 2025. No wins just doesn't help, does it? Especially when you lose at home to Southampton. I think they might get a few more points. They have got Wolves at home, and if they win that, is there going to be a chance they could stay up? Maybe, but I still think they might drop. I'm sorry, Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton. I like you guys, but I can't see a way out. Let's move up the table. Who is staying up? Well, of course, Wolves, Tottenham, Everton and West Ham. Look at Tottenham down there, by the way. Wolves, I think they're going to stay up pretty comfortably now. I've got them to keep picking up points, maybe even 3 more wins in the final few games here, and they will stay up quite comfortably. Even if they do lose that Ipswich game, I still think they're going to be okay. Their form has improved and they've got away with a pretty poor start to the season. I think this might be the new standard, by the way. 35 points, definitely enough to stay up this season. Maybe 30 points could be enough. And maybe going forwards, all you need to do is get 30 points and you stay up. Tottenham Hotspur next. I actually think West Ham and Everton might overtake Tottenham. Tottenham's fixtures are a little bit scattered. They've got a couple of difficult ones in there. And they've also got the Europa League going on, where I think their focus should be. I do think it might mean that their Premier League standards slip, even though they have been pretty low already. But I could see them maybe getting into that final 4 of the Europa League, and then maybe Ange can deliver on that trophy in the second season theory that he's been going with. I mean, we've seen Newcastle win a competition this year. Maybe Tottenham can win one as well. Maybe. Everton, I think they're going to bash out a few more points. I think both Everton and West Ham get past the 40-point mark. I want Everton to go out with a bang at Goodison Park. I want them to win a few more games. They've still got the Merseyside derby coming up, but that's away from home. And then West Ham, yeah, also, like Everton, they've changed the manager this season, and I think Graham Potter will have them ending fairly strong. So, West Ham 44 points, Everton 43. Let's move up to the top half of the bottom half, if that makes sense. Brentford, Man United and Palace. I think these three might finish in a similar position. Look how close the points are here. I've got Brentford just ahead of Man United on goal difference, Palace down in 13th. What I will say is Palace can certainly have one eye on the FA Cup. Could they do something there? If not, I still think they might improve in the Premier League. They've definitely improved in the second half of the season, haven't they? Manchester United, they've also got the Europa League going on, a bit like Tottenham, but I think they're going to win a few more points, you know. I actually think they might beat Man City. And they've also got some favourable fixtures. There's some games I fancy Man United to win. I wouldn't even be surprised if they get up to 11th place, even though I know I don't trust Manchester United. And then Brentford, I think they can end with a bit of a flurry. And if they can get into the top 10, that would be great. But I've got them in 11th. Man United 12th, Palace 13th. Let's move into the top half then. And this is really where the race for Europe gets interesting. I am sorry, Fulham, Bournemouth and Brighton. I think, let's start with Fulham. I fancy Fulham to beat Palace, I think, in the FA Cup and to get to the semis. And I tell you what, looking at the teams that are left in the FA Cup, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Fulham go and win their first ever FA Cup this season. I think they've got an opportunity to do that. Could that maybe distract them from the Premier League a little bit? Maybe. They have also got some pretty difficult fixtures coming. Possibly the same could be said for Bournemouth. Bournemouth have had a little wobble recently, and it feels like they have to do some good catching up now to get into the European places. I wouldn't put it past them though. They've been great this season. I'm just going to say 9th though, and let's see. They've got Man City in the FA Cup. If they win that, they will feel like they could win the FA Cup as well. And then Brighton, I mean, what's great with these teams is they're all flirting with the European places, and they're all left in the FA Cup as well. Brighton, could they win the FA Cup for the first time ever? Maybe. Could they get into the top 7 this season? Possibly. I've got them 8th, but you wait and see how close I think this is going to be between points and goal difference for 5th, 6th and 7th. I think Brighton might get in there, but I've just got them on the edges. They have improved recently. They've had some good wins. They obviously drew with Man City before the international break. They've got a few difficult games coming, but I think they might navigate them fairly well. But that's the teams I've got 8th, 9th and 10th. Let's move on to 6th and 7th, and as things stand, this is probably going to be 2 teams getting Europa League football, because it looks like we're going to get 5 teams in the Champions League. In 6th and 7th, Chelsea and Villa. And look how close this is. I've tried to calculate everyone's remaining fixtures and tried to be fair and go off form and, you know, what I think might happen, and try and factor in the fact that some teams are playing in European competitions and some teams are playing in the FA Cup still. I think Villa will get in the top 7. Can they get past PSG in the Champions League? I don't know. They might. They might do it. If Villa beat PSG and get to the Champions League semis, and if they can beat Preston and get to the FA Cup semis and still finish in the top 7, what a season this is turning into for Villa. I'm not sure if they're going to make top 5, I'll be honest. I don't know if they're going to do it. They might get close, but I've got them in the top 7. I think they might rally, but there's a couple of difficult games in there where, you know, quite a few head-to-heads against Brighton, against Forest, where the position Villa are in, they have to win those games, and almost all of them, to catch up with all of the teams. So I've got them 7th, just behind Chelsea, who have got 6th. What I will say for Chelsea is I think they're going to win the Conference League. I think they're going to go all the way. I fancy them. I know there's 1 or 2 decent other teams in the Conference League, but you fancy Chelsea's chances. And then as for the Premier League, this will be close. This will be really, really close. Can Chelsea hold their nerve? What's been massive for them in the first half of the season is Cole Palmer. His goals dried up and then he picked up an injury, didn't he? So if you lose Cole Palmer and his great form, that could be the difference between 5th and 6th for me. And I think Chelsea will be 6th, but I do think they're going to win the Conference League. So that's some kind of consolation. And then let's get into that top 5. Who is going to finish 5th, 4th and 3rd? Newcastle, Man City and Forest. Oof. Let's start with Newcastle. I've got Newcastle just pipping Chelsea to 5th place. But look how close this is. I didn't do this deliberately trying to make it look close. I've worked out what I think will happen in all the remaining games. And I think Newcastle, if they get to 66 points, might just snatch 5th place, which will be Champions League football by the looks of it. And what a season that would be, because we need to talk about the fact that they are Carabao Cup winners. An incredible win at Wembley just before the international break. Well done, Newcastle. I didn't see it coming. I didn't predict it, but I'm happy to be proven wrong, of course. Those fans deserve that. They've been waiting for absolutely ages to win something, and they were partying hard. What I do think works in Newcastle's advantage quite well here is that they've had a 2-week break. They've had a 2-week break to party, have some booze, and obviously a couple of the players have gone off on international duty. They can come back a bit calmer and refreshed, and I think this will work better than if Newcastle had a game just a couple of days after the Carabao Cup final. I think they've got Brentford at home as their next game, and there should be a party atmosphere. It'll be like a carnival at Newcastle, and you fancy them to maybe just win that one and then win the next one maybe. And can they build? They're not in the FA Cup. They're not in Europe currently. If they go full steam ahead, just try and win as many Premier League games as possible, riding that wave of positivity after the Carabao Cup final win, I think they could do it. I really do. The Carabao Cup final is behind them now. I would have said this win, lose or draw. You can't really draw a final, but you get my point. But the fact they've won it gives them the positivity. Keep going. Keep going. Anyhow, drill it into them. Keep going. And I think they might just do it. I've got them in there. What a season that would be for Newcastle. Let's talk about Man City. Oh, Man City are so difficult to predict this season. Usually, when we sit down and do Premier League predictions, most seasons we go, Man City win, 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 win. It's not like that this season. You know, they've dropped the standards, and a lot of good teams have come from nowhere and raised their game. I think Man City will end the season quite well. So long as they really don't mess it up now, they are in a position to get the job done. They're out of the Champions League. They are still in the FA Cup. You know, they might want to win that as well. If they can win that and finish top 4, they've saved their season to an extent. Not a great season by their standards, but they've saved it. I know some people might say, hang on a minute, Man City might get a 50-point deduction. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know if they will. So I can't just base my prediction on that. If they do, we'll talk about it when it happens, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's have Man City 4th. I think they'll get over the line. They've got the muscle memory to do it. They've got the quality players. I think they'll bash out enough wins and finish 4th. And that does mean I've got Nottingham Forest to stay in 3rd place. Oh my gosh, I would love this. Champions League football coming to the City Ground. I mean, I've spoken about it quite a few times this season, and the later we get into the season, the more it dawns on me, this is really happening. This is genuinely happening. They've still got a way to go, but if they can get to 68 points, maybe 67 will do it, and they'll get in the Champions League. And I've got them to get to 70. I think they will stay in 3rd place. Let's talk about Forest, by the way, man. How good are they? Like, the way they play football, everyone knows they don't use possession, but no one knows how to stop them. They're so good at the back, defensively. Murillo, Milenkovic, heading and kicking everything away. You've got Sells in goal, has been brilliant. They're still going in the FA Cup as well. Morgan Gibbs-White rightfully got his England call-up, by the way. Yeah, what a time to be a Forest fan. I think they're going to get in there. What do you think? What do you think? I think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to win every game, but I don't think they have to. I think they're going to stay in there. Let me know your thoughts. Let's move on to the title race then. And dun dun dun. Yeah, it's an anticlimax, isn't it? Sorry. I think we all know what's going to happen here. Liverpool get the job done. Arsenal finish 2nd. Now, let's try and make this interesting. Liverpool have just gone out of the Champions League. They've just lost the Carabao Cup final. Are they having a wobble? Maybe, but it would have to be a very big wobble to mess this up now. If Arsenal win every game, maybe they can try and make this close, but I don't know. I still wouldn't expect Arsenal to overtake Liverpool because of the gap Liverpool have already got. I think this 2-week break will be good for Liverpool. They will dust themselves down and get the job done, and I think they will get over the line fairly comfortably. I've got them to get to 91 points, and Arsenal, I think they will end the season fairly well, but let's not forget Arsenal have still got the Champions League to keep an eye on. If they beat Real Madrid, okay, then we're talking, but it's a big if. Once again, it just feels like Arsenal have had a decent season, but they're kind of caught between everything and they're actually going to win nothing. They've got further than Liverpool in the Champions League. They're higher in the Premier League team than any team but Liverpool, but they're not going to win anything for it. They've actually performed fairly well, but they just haven't got that final piece to the jigsaw to get them over the line. I've touched on it a few times, that out-and-out goal scorer, that number 9, they haven't got it. But I still think it's a decent season, but second again would be frustrating for Arsenal. But I think it's how it's going to be. And I have got Liverpool to win the league. No great surprises there. What I will say, looking at this and looking at the Premier League table right now, is the bottom 3 looks done. The title race looks done. The race for Europe is where it's at. That could be really fascinating because there's quite a lot of teams involved, quite a lot of unexpected teams involved as well. And that's really where it's at this season in the Premier League. Let me know if you agree with that down below, because that is my prediction. They are my thoughts as well. I do think there is still quite a lot to play for, and there will be quite a few interesting twists and turns. But is this going to be a painfully predictable end to the season? Other than Europe, maybe. But like I say, if we get Forest in the Champions League, if we get Bournemouth in Europe, if we get Fulham in the Champions League or Brighton in the Champions League, that'd be fascinating. And I think the FA Cup will be really interesting. I've got to admit, the FA Cup, I know Man City are still there and they could win it, but if Man City don't win it, we will either get a new team winning it or a team that hasn't won it for ages. So yeah, quite a lot to play for in the Premier League and FA Cup. They are my predictions, as I say. Let me know yours down in the comments. Don't just comment saying, oh, he's the worst, I'm never watching him again. Let me know your predictions. Let's be friendly on this community. Be sure to have dropped a like. It takes only 2 seconds, and make sure you are subscribed as well. As I say, we're so close to 95,000 subs, and then you know what the target is after that. So yeah, get involved. It is really appreciated. We will be back with Premier League content just after the international break. I will see you then. Take care, everyone. Peace out.